You're such an asshole.
I know this doesn't have anything to do with requests, but it just, as I put my title in there, like it dawned on me how much I don't trust people who are ethicists. Like if you got to go study it, I don't trust. You are the least ethical people. I'm a bioethicist. Okay, one, that's a BS title. Two, that's a BS study. Three, I don't know what we need more than the golden rule or maybe the 10 commandments or something like that. But these people, like, it's like people who go and become preachers at like 18. Like, I'm going to become a pastor. I'm going to become a therapist. Hey, maybe you get a little bit of world experience in you first. I'm a wetter something ethicist. Like, no, you're a con artist and probably a psychopath and a sadist, very malicious, evil person. So I never like ethicists. All right, so we got an ethical question. I will try to throw this one as straight across the plate as I can. Hey, Cappy, hope this email finds you well before you take your 1 month well-deserved vacation. My question is simple. Is it moral to be immoral towards your employer? Let me explain. You're in corporate America in an in-demand field. So in demand, I'm trying to anonymize you here, that you could have multiple offers within a couple weeks. Okay. You work and live in a country, you make low six figures salary wise, no debt, retirement is taken care of. And I've always keep, you have a micro FU fund. And you have no romantic or childlike liens against you. And it'll stay that way forever. Yep. You're about as bulletproof as you can get to the vagaries of the, or is it vagaries? Vagaries, I believe. The whims of employers. You work from home. I became so good at my job that I find myself taking care of tasks in a fraction of the time where I just sit at home and play video games or watch movies. Obviously, I stay online for work purposes in case my boss decides to check up on me. But lately, I started getting an itch to push my boundaries a little. All right, that's wrong. Yeah, because everyone likes somebody that already that's immoral, whether that's the employer or not. Okay, because now you're not being trustworthy. Now you're not honoring the unspoken contract. Now you're just being a pain in the ass. All right. That Do you like it when girls push their boundaries? Do you like it when you are pushing boundaries that mean you do not respect the person? Now, I'm not saying your employer is great, and I'm not saying they don't have to earn your respect, but if they've paid you a fair wage and they haven't like bait and switched you, now you're violating their trust. Now you're not respected, that you owe them your respect. That much, if they've held up their end of the bargain, you got to hand. So already I'm ruling in favor of your employer. I want to start hiking, riding, bike, doing something outside the house when I have nothing to do at the job. At this point, even though technically I'm getting paid to be online and accessible 8 hours a day, I don't want to waste these hours if I have nothing to do work-wise. All right, you are paid to work 8 hours a day. And by work, maybe if it's even sit around your phone and be near your computer, that's your job. Now, because of your efficiency, the majority of your job is sitting and waiting. Okay. And therefore, the minority has become the actual work you do, but it's still your job. They're paying you to be available. That's the job. Now, if you could still be available and do your job, if you go for like, say, a 10-mile hike or whatever, I don't even have a problem with that. Are you available? Are you reliable? That's what you're paid for. People getting like, oh, I'm finding my job boring. I'm thinking about doing this. It's like your job is supposed to be boring. Security, that was really just, okay, you want to talk about the world's most boring job? Work overnight security. Nothing happens. You're not even there to stop the bad guy. You're there because they get an insurance deduction that more than compensates the pittance of an hourly wage they pay you. And if bad guys come in, you don't Bruce Willis, John McClane it up. You get out and you call the cops. And maybe identify some people. Maybe pay attention to the detail. But not once to say, oh, maybe I could go run down to the bar and get some cocktails and hit on some girls and go dance. I'll just check in at my post. No, you paid to be there. Be there. Want if the boss reaches out, I can always use a lame excuse to get back to him either later during that day or even the next day. I mean, no, they probably want their stuff fixed now. In the upcoming 1 to 3 years, I want to try to go overseas and live in a foreign country for months at a time without telling my boss. No, 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 no. I am not on the side of employers often, but you just sound like skis. You sound like slime. You get another job that allows that. All right. Like the best, most moral solution here is you can find another job. Find a job that allows you to work remotely and travel and do all this other stuff. I'll be on my phone. If you get some contract work where it's like, look, I'm hiking at da 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 da. I'll get back to you in 24 hours. Or I work in Thailand or whatever it is. Find that job. And then go to your employer, say, look, here's the deal. I don't need to be by my desk all the time. I want to start getting some exercise, get out of the house and all that. And I'd like to be able to respond to things in a 24-hour window time period. That allows me the freedom to like run errands, which I completely understand. You do have an opportunity cost. As long as I get my work done, it's done on time and quality way. I like to say, well, that's highly irregular. Okay, cool. I got another job offer that's going to offer that to me. So do you want to keep me or not? No, you're not going to another country. I mean, look, you could try it. Sure, if you're okay getting the risk of getting fired. I've looked into it, and companies still do not like the idea of remote workers, even if you are a U.S. citizen spending time and working overseas. Right. So find a more modern and accepting employer that would. So instead of being a good corporate drone, I'll just pack my stuff, go overseas, and do my work from there without telling anyone. I don't have an issue with it. Look, in this case, like if you could do your job and okay, fine, do it. This is like people who like they get multiple jobs and they just outsource it to a dude in China to program or a guy in India to do it. And they take, 60% of the profits. I'm like, okay, go ahead and do it if you can, but it's not moral. Like in terms of practicality, yeah, go ahead and do it. But it's not moral. And that immoral behavior could end the worst case scenario here is that you get a black mark on your resume and CV. And now other employers won't trust you as much. So the best solution here is to maintain your ethics, apply for jobs that would allow you to work overseas, get that job, and then go to your employer like, "I'd like to work overseas," and be able to, like, be on my my little moped while you're fielding calls. And then when there's a call, I got 48 hours to answer it, all right? And if they don't know, we don't like it, then you're like, "Okay, you go to the other employer." So instead of being a good corporate drone, just pack my stuff. Yes, it'll take time adjustments. Will require me to be online at out hours due to the time difference. However, I can swing it. If I can swing it and still perform, why should I jump through the hoops and let the company know what I am doing? Also, I personally know a person who did exactly that for 1 month during 2020 during the worst of the pandemic and never got caught by his boss or company. I that's you look, it's immoral because you're lying. It's the simple you're lying by omission. All right. That will get you in trouble in terms of a bad mark on your resume. That's the worst case outcome because you probably could find another job. The easier solution is to maintain your moral integrity, find an employer that will allow you to do this, offer your current employer that option, and then he says no, you go with the current employer, you still get a good deal, a good reference from your old employer. I think you get where I'm going with this. In my 10 years of employment here, every single company, well, not here in corporate America, every single company that I work for tried to cuck me in some way or another. This company that I work for is no different. However, it is more manageable, and my boss is not a complete dick. None of the actions that I inquire about are illegal. No, they're not illegal. But I will agree with you, they could be interpreted as immoral. What are your thoughts on this question in two scenarios presented above? Should corporate workers in this day and age have any morality and do the right thing for the company and boss? All right, now here's a different question. All right, in your particular situation, with the information I have, I've already given you my solution. However, and this is a big asterisk, and I think this is where nearly everyone gets off scot-free, and you don't have, where I would say you go in with the policy of treating your employer with morality until the point in time they are immoral to you. And that is almost a guarantee. So, and I didn't delve into it because frankly, I didn't want the details. Has your employer lied to you? Have they bait and switched you? Do they say one thing and then do another? Does your boss tell you to do something and then reprimand you when you did it, saying, why did you do that? You said, you told me to do it. Do they not train you? Do they do diversity and inclusion? Do they have hate white males day today? Whatever it is. Do they have ludicrous employment or educational and job qualifications to get a job? Like and essentially, did they lie? And for the most part, I'm talking literally 99, 98% of your employers have lied to you. They have bait and switch. They have somehow screwed you over. Like, oh, we're not going to promote you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we are going to promote you. The promotion never comes. You know the routine. If there's any of that, then yes, your employer is immoral. And whereas generally I'm perfectly for then you being immoral towards your employer. Because usually when it's like, okay, the classic case of where the guy outsourced his work to China and had 3 jobs and was making over 200,000 a year. Usually your employer is immoral and like, yep, free, go at it. Go ahead. Was there no on the job training? Pretty immoral. You got to talk to some HR lady, like somebody files a complaint and it didn't happen, leave. Are they just randomly firing people? Do you not trust your boss? Is your boss a dick? And I'm not saying you gotta go looking for it and make it up, but look, if it's a good boss and a good employer, a good company, you don't want to violate that. That's rare. That's a ship without any holes in it. But usually, when it comes to the real world, you could just assume it's almost a guarantee your employer has been immoral to you, which gives you the green light, in my opinion, to screw them over as well. It's like girls. You could just assume they're going to stand you up or flake out on you because that's like 70% of the time. That doesn't, but when you find the one girl who shows, like I spoke in the previous video about this nice girl I took, a Japanese girl, long time ago, went on a date with her. She showed up on time. So what about the 30% of the gals that do show up on time and are ethical and moral? They deserve your moral and ethical treatment. But I'm going to assume your employer, and I've seen it where they've had nothing really immoral happened, but they started forcing people to take diversity and all that. And a buddy of mine got laid off because he wouldn't do the hate white male studies day. And for other reasons, and they came up with chumped up reasons if people are getting fired for no reason, if this is okay, I'll give you another. Is this a Fortune 1000 company? Absolutely. You have no morality to these people. None. Like if you're working at Disney, he doesn't work at Disney, but if you're working at Disney, I'd be trying to screw them over every freaking second. Absolutely. So that's your judgment call. Are they an ethical company or are they immoral? If they're immoral, especially how they treat you, yeah, you don't have to be moral to them. You don't owe them anything. But if it's one of those rare instances, and it does happen where they've treated you well, you got a good boss, they let you work from home, you got to admit you got kind of a good setup. No, you shouldn't be immoral towards them. If anything, what you should be doing with your spare time, all right, playing videos, get a home gym. Did you work on your will and living testament? Do you have your finances together? Is there a business you'd like to start on the side? Now is the time to do that. This is the time to double dip. So that saves you the time down the road that you don't even need an employer to go overseas. How would that be? You spend 2 years working on a business, setting up clients that you don't have to be up at a certain time. You're not beholden to an employer. And after 2 years of working the job and honoring your commitment to stay available during these hours at that time, you also started a business. I mean, I wrote books while I was working security. Now I don't have to work security anymore. I kind of miss it a little bit, to be honest. But that allowed, I took the time. I didn't go down to the bar. I didn't go to the nightclub. I stayed at my post, did my boring patrols, saw nothing happen, or a couple times or something happened. And then I worked on my books. I remember I was excited working security. It was in the 90s. They had a fax machine, and I'd fax out my dance class proposals to different community education places. I was like, that was 23-year-old Cappy. Did not let a minute go to waste. You have an opportunity here now. Don't mess this up with 2 in the bush versus 1 in the hand. I would take the opportunity to get your. Do you have a will and living testament? Do you have a business idea? Do you have a business going on? There's all this stuff you can do. Do you have all your certifications and credentials you'd like? Did you get enough education? That's what I'd be doing. And you wouldn't be violating. But yeah, man, if they lied to you and they said, oh, we'll promote you and it never happened, oh yeah, then you got the green light to screw them over. But it all depends. All right, let's go to the super chats if we have any. All right. Our van life agent in the field. I got a new job with a 10% raise. My current employer is freaking out since I'm the only IT guy left. So you didn't get a raise, 10% inflation, right? Is that it? And you have no idea. Oh, you girls, by the way, you girls are so hosed because there's such a shortage of critical people in this world right now, particularly men. There are no plumbers. There's not enough electricians. There's not enough carpenters. There are not enough IT people. And Chad Elkins has told me a million, and he's right. There's not enough accountants. Employers want, oh, maybe you employers should have done on-the-job training instead of requiring everyone get a college degree and follow heart. Money will follow unicorn fart studies. They will likely go bankrupt. I feel a bit sad. Nope. Nope. Not your problem. They either run a profitable business that can survive higher wages in an inflationary environment or not. And if they lose one IT guy and that sends the entire operation into bankruptcy, it was not long for this world. They could always pay somebody on the job training. We could always, they could go to the schools and say, hey, we need some vocational tech. No, we just told everyone how important their skin color and genitalia was. That'll save them. My guess, $5. Is last man hired, first man fired BS? Really depends on the location. I'm about to leave a job, but concerned about recession. Don't want to get screwed after switching. Look, man, my job experience, which admittedly was in finance and banking, which was highly corrupt and highly volatile for obvious reasons. I never worried about that. I mean, shoot, your bosses don't stick around more than 2-3 years anyway. I wouldn't worry about that. Go where the money is, get your job. But I mean, this only emphasizes again to get your own self-employment and to be a minimalist. Maybe you're new and you haven't gotten a vasectomy yet and you haven't become a minimalist or gotten rid of your car, but it should be to the point where you got 6 months cash and you don't worry about it. Like, are you going to pay me more? Like, if you got laid off, like, okay, cool, vacation time. Like, you really don't worry about it. Roger Shea for $2. Have a small coffee. I already had enough coffee. I'm a little wired. I got my Tigger mug. No, Tigger mug. Someone didn't want this. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And they're not happy people. I'm a happy person. Zero fun. 20 generous dollars. What's your take on working multiple positions at once, especially if it's a highly in-demand field? If you can swing it, absolutely. I know several people that work 2 jobs at home. That's no problem. Remotely, I should say. I know one guy that does 3. Do it. Absolutely. If you can do the job, do it. And it's always been kind of that way, especially if you're a smarter person. You were always able to do your job in about 2 to 3 hours a day because management and the normie-conformities and inferiors, especially the morons that got their MBAs, they're not that bright. They just can't organize work correctly and efficiently. So there's never once that I really, on average, did more. I would honestly say 2.5 hours, not even close to 3, 2.5 hours a day of work. I'd be done with my stuff. And the remaining, what is that? 5.5 hours would be explaining to bankers, I can't do my job until your client gets me his tax returns. you're just trying to be obstinate. No, I'm trying to deal with a truly stupid person like you who, for the third time, I have to explain to you, I can't crunch the numbers until you give me the numbers that are in his or her latest tax return. So nice to find out the feds came, and it was nice. Like, not only at one bank, but like 3 banks, the feds came and just, oh, those bankers they're not in banking anymore. So yeah, go ahead and do it. Absolutely. Look, man, if you can get twice the amount of income and just hunker down and bang it out, in 5 years, you could shore up your finances for the rest of your life. It's 10 years working. Scrolling. Is that we caught up? I think we're caught up. That's it. Thank you, Zero Fun, for the 20 generous dollars. It will go to solar panels. That's where it's going to, solar panels. See you guys later, Toodles.